Hey everyone, it's Karley Hall, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create an ornament using these sublimation blanks from Craft Express. I love these blanks because they're a great size, super thick and durable, and the sublimation ink transfers flawlessly. So for this tutorial, you will need the sublimation blanks, a sublimation printer, paper, some heat-resistant tape, and a heat press. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to choose an image, center your design within the printable area, and even add some text to your design to make it look super custom. All right, let's get started. To design our project, we are going to use Silhouette Studio. You can use the free version of this software, and you do not need to have a Silhouette cutting machine to use their program. So if you don't have Silhouette Studio on your computer, I will put a link in the video description and you can download their free version, and that will be enough to design the project that we're working on today. So as you saw, the template that we need to create is a circle with a hole in it. So we want to make sure that we design a template that is accurate so that we don't have a hole in the center of our photo, for example. There is a download on Craft Express's website. So if you look down here, it says downloads. And it looks like the only option right now is a Photoshop file, which is great if you have Photoshop, but if you don't, I'm going to show you how we can create our own template. So to begin, this is the end look that we're going for, and then we'll use this circle to create our project. To get to this point, we are going to use the tools on the left-hand side. So we'll grab the drawing tools, and then we'll hover over to the ellipse, and we'll draw a circle. To draw a circle, you'll hold down the Shift key, and then while dragging, it will keep the circular shape. So if you let go of the Shift key, you can make the ellipse, but if you hold down that Shift key, it will lock into a circle. So get as close as you can to 3 inches, and then you'll want to resize it up at the top here. You'll just type in 3. Make sure that this padlock is locked, and then type in 3. And then that will make sure that both of the proportions are locked. Our circle is 3 inches, and then from the top to this hole here is, let's double check my measurements. I think it's, okay, so it's 0.132 is the exact length I got. But before we do that, let's grab another circle and hold down the Shift key, and we want this one to be 0.25 inches. So again, just draw it as close to 0.25 as you can get, and then we can type in the dimensions. And we'll bring this circle over here. You can see if I put it right where the line is, it's not far enough down, so we need to drop it down about here. And then we'll use our line tools, so highlighting both. I'm going a little fast, let me slow down. So we're going to highlight both, and then over on the right-hand side, there is this transform panel. If you click on that, it's also up at the top. We're going to align center, and that will bring our circle right to the center. Now to get the circle in the right position, we're going to add a line. So we'll draw a line, and you can just draw a straight line down. Again, holding the Shift key will keep it straight, and we want it to be 0.132. So we'll just type that in up at the top, 0.132. Oops, that was way too big. I don't know if it'll let me type. Actually, I have a better idea. We're going to add a box. So we'll choose that drawing tool, then a box rectangle, and we're just going to make that a square. So we'll unlock that, 0.132 by 0.132. There we go. And then we're going to use that box as a reference to place our circle. So we'll zoom in. And we're going to align that up to the top, and we'll just line up our circle to the bottom of that. If you highlight everything, center it up to make sure it looks good. So that way you know how far down to put your circle. And this will be important in just a second. Now we can delete that out, and we're going to highlight our 2 circles together, and you can group them together or slice them, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to group them together so that they stay together. Okay, so I don't need my first one anymore since I have those measurements. Now the second circle will make sense in just a second, but we are going to draw a circle that is 3.2 inches big. So again, just grab your drawing tools and then draw that circle out. 0.32. There we go. This one doesn't have to be these exact dimensions. We just want it to be a little larger than our ornament so that when we place our photo, we will create some bleed, which will make sense when we print our image. So now we have our template and where we're actually going to place our image. I'm using this image here, so we're going to drag it into our circle. Isn't that crazy easy? I love Silhouette Studio. So again, I'm just going to do that slower so you can see. I have my image on my desktop, so it's easiest if you can find your image. If you want to pull it in from a folder, that will work too, but you'll pull it in, and you can actually pull it into both of these. But we're going to use the larger one and just drop it right into the circle. If we were to print our image as is, I'm going to right-click this and say bring to the front. You can see that the whole of my ornament will chop off my baby's head just a little bit right here. So we can actually adjust our image to make sure that we have it centered up exactly where we want it to be. To adjust our image, we're going to click Open Fill Panel. And then at the top, there's this fill option. And this photo is considered a fill. So now we can scale this image by toggling this slider. And we can also pan the pattern by moving it here. If it's easier to have your ornament on top, you can highlight both of them or all of your images here. Let's zoom in. At the top, I'm going to click Center so that everything centers. And you can see now that the whole won't chop off the image, but I do want to adjust my pattern a little bit more. So you can see that I'm using my template on top to place my image. So if I want to zoom in a little bit more, I can scale that even further and then adjust my photo to fit exactly where I want it to go. So I'm happy with the placement now, so we can close this fill window. And we actually don't need the template on the top. So you can separate your two images. And now I'm going to add some text to my photo. If the red line around the image is bothering you or throwing you off, it will not print because it's actually turned to 0. But if you don't want to see that line at all, you can navigate to the top, and where the red line is here, click out of that by choosing this no fill option, and that red line will disappear. Now to add text, you'll choose the text option here. And then I'm just going to type out June 2021 because that's when this photo was taken. And if you want to add a sentiment, your child's name, whatever you want it to look like, you can add that. So I'm going to roughly resize it to be the size I want. And then we're going to play with the fonts. I had a font in mind. And I want the fill of my lettering to be white. And I want a slight outline around my letters. But I don't want my letters to look like they're overlapping like that. So to change that, we're going to open this panel here and we're going to choose Weld. And then I'm going to group them all together so that they stay together. And you can bring that onto your ornament. If you want the outline, the black outline to show up, I need it to be a point, at least over 0. So I'm going to do 0.5 to make it stand out. And then we can resize this to be however big or small we want it to be. Now remember, we need it to fit in the template, not on the bleed. So let's bring our template on there. and you'll want to make sure that you place this high enough that it doesn't get chopped off. Then I'm going to center everything up again using my align tools and center that on there. So now you can see that it won't get chopped off. So we're done with our template. I'm going to just pull it off my printable area. So I'm going to place it into the gray, because if I want to make additional ornaments, now I have that template already created. And then this is still aligned, centered, perfect. I'm going to group these together so that they don't move position. Typically with sublimation, we would have to mirror our image, but for this one, we don't have to. And you'll apply it to the back side of the ornament and you'll see it through the front, which is really cool. So if you were to make tons of ornaments, say you're making this picture of your baby and you wanted to give it to all of your family members for them to hang on their trees, you could just copy this image and paste it. So all I did was Control-C on my keyboard and then Control-V, or you can click copy and paste. I could just place as many of these as I need. I'm only printing one for this tutorial, so we're good to go. To set up our page for our printer, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll want to choose this page setup option. And the media size, you'll want to set it to match the paper size that you're using. I'm using letter, so we'll set that to letter. And then my orientation, it doesn't need to be landscape or portrait. It depends on however you set it up. So this one doesn't matter, but just set it up to be whatever you prefer. And now we'll print it. This won't print over here. It's off our mat and it's also a 0 point. So don't worry about that. We're just printing this picture here. So up at the top, you'll choose print. And you can see here that my top of my ornament is going to be cut off by my print border. So if I choose this here, should have mentioned this, in the right, we're going to click show print border. And that will show us the margins for where we can print. And you'll want to make sure that your image is within those print margins. So let's come back over to here and choose print. If your page does not look like the orientation that you set up, you may need to choose settings and adjust it to be either landscape or portrait, depending on what you chose. So I chose landscape, so that's selected as landscape there. Now we're going to choose print. For your printer, you'll want to make sure that it's toggled to the printer that you want. Make sure you're using your Sublimation Printer. And then I'm going to feed from my rear tray, and I'm using a sublimation paper, and I found the best setting for my printer is the photo matte paper, and that will automatically adjust the quality to best. If it doesn't, you'll want to slide that slider over to best. Before you print, make sure that your paper is loaded into your printer, and then click print. Here's a look at the Epson printer I'm using. This is filled with sublimation ink. Any EcoTank Epson will work great. I do have a whole bunch linked in my YouTube description, as well as my Amazon store. Here's my print. You can see that it looks super muted compared to what it looks like on my computer screen. With sublimation ink, it will print a lot lighter and transfer darker when the heat is applied. So here's a look at the ornament blank. There's film on both sides, so you'll want to make sure to remove the film. So here, this is the clear side, and then there's a white side. So you'll remove the film on both sides, and then we're actually going to place our ornament with the white side onto our image. So the white side goes down onto our image. And since we've made our image larger than the ornament, you can see that no part of the ornament will be missed because we have the bleed around the image. And you can also see where the image will shine through. So I can see June 2021, and I can also see the whole of the ornament. And I'll want to make sure to position that so that it is in the area that I want it to be and not chopping off my image. Okay, so I just fired up my heat press, so you'll hear that in the background. And I'm going to trim down my image. It doesn't need to be cut as a circle. You can cut around it to make it circular if you'd like, if you find taping it easier that way, but it does not need to be cut down perfectly as a circle. So then we're going to place our ornament on top of the image. And I have some heat resistant tape, and I'm going to tape it into place. Tape it into place on the top and the bottom. Since we are pressing it face down with the paper against the press, so we'll be pressing it like this. My press is set to 400 degrees for 60 seconds. I'm placing the ornament with the paper facing me, and then I'm going to add a sheet of butcher paper folded in half just for the blowout. So I have my little ornament sandwich, and I'm going to start my press. So the time is up. I don't want to touch this. This will be really hot, so I'm going to grab it by the paper, and then we'll let this cool off, and then we'll reveal it. So once this is cool enough to handle, we can flip it over, and we will peel off the tape. I did add tape to these two outsides edges to make sure that it held down. And then we'll just peel off all of the tape. Here's a look at the back side. It's so crazy to me that it goes through that white coating. And here is a look at the final ornament. That is so stinking precious. The final step is to add an ornament string. These came with the ornaments, but you can add any ribbon or hardware that you want to add. So I just strung it through the hole, made a little loop. I'm going to pull it through the top of my ornament. And then you can tie it at the top to put on a tree. Or what I did last year is I tied these onto gifts, and I personalized each ornament with a photo of the person or the family I was gifting it to. So they kind of doubled as my gift tags. So that way I could identify, oh, this gift is for baby, and then give it to the baby. And they also get a personal keepsake as well. So it was kind of an extra gift that I added on each present last year. And I think I might do that again with these ornaments because it looks so cute and so professional. I'm not sure if you can see, let's see if I can catch the light. So there's a really great gloss element to these, which make them look store-bought. I don't think that looks handmade at all. Not that there's anything wrong with handmade, but it just, the level of professionalism. It looks like you ordered this off of a website to have it personalized. If you're looking for any of the links to the blanks, to the ink or the printer, paper, any of that stuff, I will link everything in the video description so that you can easily find what you need to get crafting right away. If you need more personalized help, I do have a link to my Cricut Facebook group, which you can ask all things crafting in there. If you have any questions, make sure to leave those in the comments, and I will get back to you just as soon as I can. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.